Okay, so switching gears. We're gonna get off of that and onto something really good and delicious.
And happier,
Dave,
hopefully.
you want to break down this next one?
This beer isn't as depressing as your last topic, but
Not much is.
this is from the same Good People Brewing Company. It is their IPA. I was trying to get their, what's it called?
Snake Charmer?
Snake Handler.
Snake Handler.
Oh, Handler. You're right.
Snake Handler double IPA, but that's brewed like once a year, once every 3 months. But anyway, yeah, this is just a standard IPA. We'll see how they fare. Their coffee oatmeal stout was delicious, so this holds high promise.
Yeah, okay, that'll work.
I'll allow it.
This can looks very American, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
That it
This
does.
is a basic ass can.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's kind of deceiving. It looks like a Bud Light Bush.
It
kind
really
of.
does.
It looks
yeah.
like a
When I saw it, I was kind of like,
Yeah.
PBR.
Yeah,
True.
it's very deceiving. Hopefully, it's very deceiving.
yeah, we'll see.
Let's find out.
It's not too bitter. I think this is a good jump off IPA.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's not too bad. It doesn't have that much of a bite.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're used to IPAs with a lot more bite.
Oh yeah, very bitter, very sour, but that's
Yeah, that's good.
magnifique.
I think that's a pretty good like hangout beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it is.
This is competitive with the Halai.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
I would say
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That gave me the same feels.
Yep.
That's good. I like it.
Okay, we all like it all
You're
around.
2 for 2. Good brewing.
Yes.
Good people.
Yep.
So kids,
Uh,
what would we rate this one?
I'm gonna go
4-5.
4.5.
4.5 for me too.
Yep. It's good. 2
Yeah.
out of 2.
This is good stuff.
Good job, good people.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you and your little yellow
Truck.
truck.
I was watching a documentary on Prohibition today.
Yeah.
It's actually really interesting
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Oh, Prohibition. Never mind.
Yeah. What was
What
that
do you
about?
think you said?
I was about to say something about that being also depressing, but it's not that depressing.
No. It was actually pretty cool, and it parallels a lot of the marijuana
Oh yeah.
news going on. Like it
Yeah.
very closely parallels it.
Yep.
Pretty much. It was cool to see that the reason prohibition was instilled in the first place was because people were used to drinking beer, 2% beer, and then all of a sudden they had the means to grow or to distill like 30-40% rum and whiskey, and they were still drinking the same amount.
Oh yeah.
So people were getting wasted off of it, and they couldn't control their shit. Pretty much just the entire country became a bunch of drunks, and it was a very big jump off points for women's rights because they did a lot of things that were considered
Risque.
yeah.
Taboo.
Not taboo, just risque, out of
Right.
place.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool. Right, it's a three-part series. Each episode's an hour and a half, and
Is that the Ken Burns series?
that is yes.
He
actually.
makes just awesome documentaries on everything.
Yeah, there's a dude in there. His last name's Hamill. Kind of looks like Mark Hamill. Think it might be his brother.
Oh.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No,
Have you guys seen Lawless?
No.
Tom Hardy, Shia LaBeouf movie?
no.
It's the gangster movie.
Sort of. It's dealing in Prohibition. They run moonshine.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good. You
I
guys
heard it
should
was
check
pretty
out.
good.
It was.
Yeah,
it's-
it kind of sucks because they go into stories of like police officers actually like losing their lives and killing people over prohibition, and it just ended like a few years later.
Yeah.
So
Well,
their
it's just like the war on drugs.
sacrifice was all for naught. Yeah.
That and people getting thrown in jail for drinking. It's like people getting a life sentence for marijuana.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. They actually the prohibition laws didn't actually restrict the illicitness of
You can do it.
possessing alcohol. There were acts that enforced it way beyond what the actual amendment intended. So they actually elevated possessing a hip flask with like less than 4 ounces as the same level of possessing a loaded firearm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then from there, crime spawned because people still wanted to get booze, believe it or not. So they found a way. And then it's the gangsters and the criminals that ended up making millions off of that.
Oh yeah. And the irony is that the bootleggers were the ones selling it to people in Congress,
Yeah.
the
Oh
ones
yeah,
who
yeah.
passed the bill.
Indeed.
So
Unbelievable.
completely contradictory.
Actually, believable.
Yeah. I highly recommend everyone watch Boardwalk Empire if you haven't.
What?
What?
No, it relates. It relates. I mean, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But
Well, no,
it relates.
because it actually
Highly recommend everybody watch Dexter.
Moving on. No. Boardwalk Empire is very much within the Prohibition era. That's what it's centered around. And the
Okay.
Roaring
Like,
20s.
if he was talking about a documentary on like Ted Bundy or something, and he was just like, "Yeah, you should watch Dexter."
I really like Batman, but moving on. No. It's definitely within that era, and they actually introduce a lot of real life characters before they were bigger gangsters like Capone. And it's an interesting, dramatic version of what actually happened in that
That's
time.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
A fantasy world where actual criminals exist.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
There are factual elements to it, and I feel like the overall tone is pretty true to form, but, obviously the story itself is made up. But it's very interesting. It's a good show. It just ended this year, actually.
How many seasons?
I think
5, 6?
4 or 5. Something like that,
I think it's 5.
probably.
HBO shows don't usually last that long, which is a
No.
good thing.
Yeah.
Except for Sopranos, I think lasted like 8 seasons.
Yeah, way too long.
Yeah, it was
But-
one of the longer ones.
But other than that, which is a good thing, you want to. I mean, Breaking Bad's a perfect example. You bow out when you need to bow out.
Right.
I think Walking Dead is taking it a little too far.
Yeah, they need to go.
They might need to bow out.
They're fully serialized now. They're going to keep going until people stop watching.
Well, The League is ending after 7 seasons. And people are like, "Oh no, I can't believe it's ending." It's like 7 seasons of a TV show is a long time.
They had enough time.
That's
Yeah.
that's
good
a
enough.
lot of time to get your point across,
They
to get all
are-
the jokes out.
The League is the last season I saw was just them pretty much just beating the shit out of
It's-
Andre verbally.
It's not.
It's not funny anymore.
It's not that
I
good
feel
anymore.
bad for Andre more than anything.
Yeah, it's gotten to a point where they don't understand why it was so funny to begin with, which is like real people, but they based it around fantasy football, and then it was 5 guys doing just ridiculous things just to do better in a fantasy league. That's what was so funny about it, and people who watched it didn't need to understand fantasy football to get why the ridiculous things that they did to get ahead were so funny.
Right.
Now it's just like they clown on Andre.
Yeah, they took it to the
there's
level
too much
where
Rafi in
all right,
it.
There's a show called Broad City, right?
Yeah.
And it can be funny, but it's about these 2 chicks in New York who they always get into these crazy stories, but like when I'm watching a TV show, I can't suspend my disbelief so much that the person is completely incompetent.
Right.
And that's what they're starting to do in the League that they do in Broad City, where like instead of just hey, wait a minute, let's think about this for a second, like anybody else would would make it relatable
Right.
a little bit. They don't do that. They just snowball into like a worse and worse situation.
Yeah, I've always hated movies and TV shows where the main character is just a moron, just incompetent, and it's like I can't enjoy this
Becomes
because they're
unbelievable.
not even thinking logically about
Yeah.
half the stuff that they're doing.
And it ruins movies. Adam and I, potential spoiler alert, we watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and in the very beginning of the movie, there's a guy that shoots an ape, and he pretty much is the catalyst for the entire war that happens.
Yes.
Because the kid drops the bag, they find out where they live.
Right. Pretty much single-handedly.
Yeah, single-handedly starts the war with the apes. That should have been it as far as his involvement in society in that world. But instead, they go back to the monkeys because they need to fix a dam. Who's part of the team that they assemble? The same guy that shot the apes. And he continues to fuck up throughout the whole
Right.
movie. There's another scene where they're like, all right, we gave him a chance. He comes around again. He tries to fight another monkey. He comes around again. They find a shotgun that he hid in a crate.
Right.
Come around and he shouldn't exist in that world.
No, he's consistently an asshole, and he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with people that are doctors, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think they'd be smart enough to go, okay, guy that has a itchy trigger finger, you're staying home.
Who for some reason doesn't like apes, just like is very prejudiced against apes.
There's the backstory of something happened to him where he snapped, and the apes made his life hell. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He is the foil
apes
to
said something racist to him.
Exactly.
He's always been upset about it.
Where are you going with that?
He would be racist.
Yes. Anyway, so no, he's obviously from like the first scene that you see him in, he is pinned to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And you know that the
Right.
entire time, and that took me completely out of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, another movie where we keep shitting on where this character should not exist in this serious world is in Gravity. Sandra Bullock's character. How is a astronaut, a highly trained individual, that fucking useless?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, so
Well,
I
okay.
can't call it.
To
You gotta watch it.
preface, I think Sandra Bullock's character wasn't an astronaut, but even so, she just that movie had more problems than just Sandra
She
Bullock.
didn't belong in space. George Clooney didn't belong in space.
Anyway,
So anyway, yeah, no, the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was actually really good.
yeah, I heard it was good.
Yeah, James Franco, the original.
No.
No.
Dawn is the one you guys were talking about.
Dawn. You thought it was good?
Rise of the
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes
Rise
is
of
the
the Planet.
first is the reboot with James
Franco.
Right. Yeah, I thought the movie was good overall.
You didn't like it, Dave?
I liked it. Just that asshole really ripped me out of
Yeah.
that experience because he shouldn't have been there. I thought it would have been a much better movie if they had been smarter with the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, all right, this same guy is doing all these bad things and nobody's doing anything about it.
Right.
They put him in the truck. That's his punishment. Just stay in the truck.
Right. And then they completely underuse Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Gary Oldman's in the movie for like 15 minutes.
It was like he was bored.
in total.
It's like he
Yeah.
was bored. He called up the director. You got anything for me to do, man? Yeah, speaking to this megaphone a few times.
That's all you got to do.
That's it.
Shoot a gun.
Yeah, and I didn't like Gary Oldman in it either. He could have been a much bigger role in that movie.
He was just yelling Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing. I mean, I feel like they had a character there that they could have easily expanded on and made much more of a significant character, because they glance at like flashback photos and there's things about him and his family in the past, and I feel like that stuff would have been really interesting if they explored it more instead of dealing with these really basic bad guy characters.
Have you guys ever seen Taxi with Jimmy Fallon and
No.
Queen Latifah?
Why would we watch that?
When I was living at my parents' house, they had HBO and Cinemax and Stars and Showtime.
So you just watch everything.
I just watched everything, whether it was good or bad. Sometimes I was just bored and it was on.
That's the movie where Queen Latifah gets like a souped up taxi?
Yes.
Does it
Yes.
transform?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember
Yes.
that. That was horrible.
Really, the reason I bring it up, because it was a bad movie, but it could have been passable had Jimmy Fallon not been just this incompetent, just moron of a cop. And I think that's my biggest pet peeve is like guys in these movies when they become detectives, it's like
Oh yeah.
all the shit he had
Shut
to go
up.
through to become a detective, and he's a moron. Like that is the person who you hired to be a detective.
Kind of like kids that take karate that suck, but if they stick with it long enough, they'll get a black belt.
Of course,
Which it
yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Everyone gets a gold star.
But see, that's fine because in real life, that's what happened. Is everyone gets a gold star, everyone gets a blue ribbon. But when you become a cop, you have to be competent. You can't just become a detective because you're there long
What the
enough.
fuck did I do?
So yeah, that always bothered me about that movie. Other than the fact that it was god awful, was just the fact that Jimmy Fallon, like he's an
Just shaking
idiot.
your head.
He's just an idiot. Like it would be okay if he was a beat cop who like barely passed the test,
Right.
and then like he does something really heroic or whatever, and that's what gets him attention or something like that. But the fact that he's like an accomplished detective,
Right. Well, I feel like with all those doofus characters, you need a redeeming quality.
But he didn't have one. He
Which-
was an
yeah,
idiot.
that's what
He
I'm
didn't
saying.
figure anything out. The plot progresses by Queen Latifah. She figures everything out. She's the reason that anything moves in that movie.
Right.
It's stupid.
I don't know. I don't think they intended it to be serious at all, Marco.
Well,
but
no, of course not. But that's what I'm saying, though. I think, though.
I went in there expecting
honestly,
a dark cop
No.
drama
He solves a homicide.
starring Jimmy
I-
Fallon and Queen Latifah.
I just think that I think it's insulting the audience's intelligence to say that this person could be a detective, an accomplished detective.
What was the movie rated?
That's probably got a terrible rating.
No, I mean like
Uh,
I think PG. I'm pretty sure it's
PG-13? PG, so it was a kids movie.
PG. It's not a kids movie. I don't think it's a kids movie. I don't think it's
It may have been
geared to
13.
kids.
I think you watched a kids movie and you're just
I watch a kids movie. I don't give a fuck.
Nah,
Motherfucker, I watch a kid movie.
Lego movie.
Watch a romantic
was awesome.
comedy
Lego movie.
that you guys just seem to just want to act like those kinds of movies don't exist.
It's because we're single.
I'm not gonna watch it alone. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna watch it with Adam.
I've watched romantic comedies alone.
Have you cried?
No.
Yes.
Marco.
No.
That's sad. Anyway, yeah, no, I completely agree. I hate the doofus character. The overly obvious characterization always takes me out of movies. I'd say more than even like shoddy CG or like bad effects. If there's a bad character in there, it sticks out like a sore thumb. But overall, I'd say that we both pretty much enjoyed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
good.